Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing? Welcome to episode 30 of Merchants of Novigrad, a podcast where we discuss everything Gwent. Today with me, as usual, my partner in crime, Hesser Tavern, and as you guys can see, once again, guys, we have a very special guest, the wholesome death that we need, but we don't deserve, the self-proclaimed Shoop ambassador, and incidentally, the event manager at CD Projekt Red, Repek. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having me.
We are very happy to have you. Before we get into it, as always, a few words to people in chat. If you have any questions, you can simply ask them in chat because Hesser, as always, has been charged with the very responsible task of collecting the more interesting ones, and we'll try to answer them as we go. Also, if you want to stay in touch off stream, you can follow us on Twitter at Novigrad Podcast. And there is some special stuff in there today, so you might wanna have a peek. And if you can watch right now, don't fret because this episode is going to be released on YouTube, Spotify, and a number of other platforms either today or later in the week. With that being said, let's move to the first segment of our podcast, which, as always, is what have you been up to? And we are gonna start with you, Repek, Mr. Serious Streamer. You recently started your streaming career, so my first question is, what prompted you to do so, and how do you enjoy it?
So I'm enjoying it very much. The idea came to my mind during the COVID period. We were all locked, and it's a nice way to stay in touch with the community, with people. But the most important thing, I just wanted to see how it looks from the other side, right? How it feels to play the game and talk to the camera for one viewer, right? Or 10 if you are lucky. And it feels great. Time flies, right? You are playing for 4 hours, and even if you are losing, like I am most of the time, it is very very cool experience. So yeah, the main goal was to check how it feels from the other side. We were working with the streamers all the time, so I just wanted to know how it looks like from your perspective, right?
I would say it sounds pretty much like novices enthusiasm. The rage and the tilt is gonna come later.
Yes, I think I streamed for five times already, and this I don't think I could do this like every day for even 4 or 6 hours. I'm pretty sure at some point I would get exhausted, even if I love the game. Like I love Gwent, and I guess it requires a special mindset and a set of skills to do this. But for now, streaming now and then for 2 days a week, I think I'll be fine.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I have mad respect for all the streamers playing Gwent on stream 6-8 hours a day, almost every day. I don't know how they're doing that. So hats off to these people because it sounds like a major feat to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we are gonna go back to this topic soon, but for now, I would like to move to Hesser and your very cryptic tweet. Are you branching out? Are you starting a new career? Because there was something about the doctor. You had the whole outfit and whatnot. So I'm wondering, what was that about?
Oh man, I wish actually. Funny story because I was visiting my family, who I haven't seen in a long time, because they are living in Sweden, in Stockholm, and my cousin is actually a doctor there at Karolinska's hospital, and he managed actually to sneak me in to disguise me as a doctor there, and I was able to see that whole glory of this, perfect Scandinavian hospital, and it was awesome. Definitely, I definitely want to go there another time. Definitely not as a patient, but maybe as some sort of a guest. Maybe this time in a more, let's say, official way. But that was a cool, definitely cool adventure.
I hope you were not accidentally asked to perform any kind of surgery on anyone.
Maybe one or two. No, I was just saying that I'm an exchange student, and that worked for most of the time.
Did the patient survive?
Yeah, I hope so. Nobody is calling from Sweden, so it's all right, I guess.
Yeah, there is a European warrant after you, but nobody's calling.
It's called bounty.
It's called bounty. Yeah.
Bounty hunters on their way.
Yeah, Hesser, what's your base power? I just want to know how many coins we can get.
I don't know. Let's say. I'm
at
probably
least 10. At least 10.
At least 10.
At least 10.
Nah, I'm a weak one. It's probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah, 10 is a little bit of over profit, so 6 sounds more reasonable, I would say. And going back to the whole streaming thing, because that's something that came to my mind when I saw, for example, Pavel doing Twig, or Ryan doing an occasional stream, or Jason doing an occasional stream. People just show up and complain because they think you are in charge. So, Repek, the question is, how often do viewers complain about something in Gwent in your chat, or how often they ask you to change something that you are actually not in charge of?
So I will tell you in 1 month or 2, because right now it's only 5 streams, so all I receive is just support, and most of the people that are coming right to the stream on their own will, right, not from with the raid, and asking who's this guy, right? Why some popular streamer raided this guy. But usually people that are hanging out is like Camille, right, or Claymore, and many members of the community that we already know each other from from Twitter or from community events. So they are not complaining, right? They are there to have fun. But what I'm happy for now, there's no one coming and say no, they are not complaining about Gwent, that there's no one coming saying, hey, fix Cyberpunk. That's the thing that most of our community team is experiencing when it comes to Gwent, right? We are playing Gwent, we have a Gwent event, and there is always someone saying, hey guys, what about Cyberpunk? So for now it's fine. And well, if someone comes, I will just say, hey guys, I'm just a casual player. So
yeah, that's a very reasonable way to go about it. Because I have to tell you, we tweeted your appearance on the show, and there was a couple of comments under that tweet, and they were asking about Mamuna or some other card, and I was like, come on guys, really? Are you really gonna ask about that?
But I totally get it. You are turning on internet in the morning, right? And last night you were playing against someone, this deck destroyed you 5 times in a row, and your tweet pops up because it's how internet works, right? Algorithm that because if someone played Gwent, then this content is being shown to him. And I think for many people, it's the easiest way to express their, well, let's say, concerns or their thoughts, and you are there on the first line, in fact, right? So it doesn't surprise me, or I think it's totally normal that they are asking this there, because that's the moment when they encounter the content that's related to Gwent and they want to share their feelings. Totally fine.
Yeah, I guess if you are very passionate about the game, and if you are somewhat desperate because things didn't really go your way, you are looking for any kind of communication and in hopes that something is gonna get changed. But speaking of content, let's move to the next segment, which is what's happening in Gwent. And right now we are only a couple of days away from the 3rd installment of Price of Power, which is called Harvest of Sorrow. I'm wondering who is the Metallica fan in the studio. So how hyped are you guys? We've seen most of the cards. I think we are missing like 3 or 4. So what is the hype level right now?
Amil?
Yeah, actually, I love all the cards that has been revealed. I can't wait for the Northern Realms Legendary, because there's always like huge hopes for Northern Realms. and supporting some of the archetypes that haven't been seen for a while. But I definitely gonna try the head buff for the Scoia'tael. This is something that I wanted to see in a while, and I think a lot of people wanted to see Invigorate buffed and see how it works. I mean, like Torque is definitely my MVP of this part of the expansion, so I'm definitely giving him a shot. And apart from that, I'm guessing that the monsters actually look kind of weak to me, but I love the Skellige having the weather buff. This is something that definitely gonna try out after Scoia'tael. So yeah, high hopes and definitely a lot of stuff to try out. I'm pretty hyped about that.
Yeah, so I'm not the person that will ever predict if something is going to be a meme or meta, the new OP card. I love Torque because he's like great character from the short stories, right?
Yeah.
By Sapkowski. So I always really like when the character like this is introduced to the game, and mechanic is looks promising. I always loved playing Invigorate back in the day when it was just boosting the whole hand.
Yeah.
And it was really a meme usually, but I loved playing. It was perfect ability for a player like me. Just press, everything shines, and let's go. So that's the first card that really looks promising, and the other one that every time when there is a new expansion, we are looking for new mechanics, new ideas how the game can be played. So I think this time my winner is Ryogan from Skellige. So we have a card. We have a kind of new mechanic, right? We had cards that start in your hand, and right now there's a card that starts in the graveyard. So I wonder if it works, because I can imagine that round one Squirrel Mita is coming, or Xavier. But it looks interesting, and there is a story, right? Because there are two cards connected to one another in Skellige. I like when there is even a card game can tell a story. I think Gwent is doing this quite nice.
I like how you said that you are always trying to avoid predictions. I'm kind of in the same boat in the sense of I'm terrible at making them, and this is, in my opinion, what makes this installment distinctive as compared to the previous two installments. Because previously you could clearly see, okay, this card is really good, it's gonna be played, and this card is really bad, it's not gonna be played. And now if I look at all these cards, and we are talking about between 25 to 30 cards, there is maybe 3 cards where I think I can make a prediction, and that's it. The rest I just don't know. They could be good, they could be bad. And this is what I like, because in this case I have this feeling that after the patch, the meta is gonna develop organically, and that's what we all want to see. When it takes a couple of weeks for people to realize, okay, this is actually pretty good, and then decks are being shared, and then more people are playing them. But there is this long period of time where you see all kinds of memes and homebrews, everyone trying everything. So I think this is gonna be a very nice patch as compared to, for example, the previous installment where we kind of knew, okay, this is nuts and this is gonna be everywhere.
Yeah, I think it's also surprising that we are getting buffs and the devs are getting out something that people totally forgot about. For example, this time it's going to be bonded, because I think nobody predicted that there is going to be some sort of bonded support, right? This was some sort of a tag that people were not just not using, right? And it will be occasionally. And this time we are getting the Mushy Truffle, and I wonder if the next card that we're going to see, the next neutral card, is going to be somehow connected with this as well. And also the Northern Realms card that has been revealed like yesterday, I think, is something that you would want to build around, right? I think that one of the community members mentioned that the Meditating Mage is something that you could really try to build a deck around, right? With that resilience. So this is going to be pretty cool, for sure.
Yeah, I think every faction has got a bronze bonded card.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, as somebody who only plays Novigrad, I already theory crafted an Illusionist deck, because that card, I would classify on the face value when I see it. I don't know how good it's gonna be, so right now I classify it as somewhere between homebrew and memes, but it's just an amazing card to build around.
Yeah.
It's gonna be so fun to play it.
Yeah, hello Griffin.
For instance, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you are going to play against monsters, you can take Griffin or effectively any kind of taller unit like the Anal Conqueror, for instance. If you are playing against Skellige, you can take Greatsword or Bear Witcher. You just need to make sure that there is a unit in your opponent's graveyard, and let's go. Actually, on paper, you can do some Operator shenanigans where you play Operator into Illusionist, then use your Imprisonment ability to kill your opponent's Illusionist, and then just spam them all the time. It's also possible.
Yeah, coming on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, I was really hoping it was going to be Tuesday, because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, it's Wednesday," and I was like, "Nah," because then I will have to wait. Because Wednesday's my day off, and the expansion would usually drop like 1 p.m. or something, and then I would like to start a stream earlier, so I don't want to wait. So now that it's Tuesday, I'm actually happy about that, because Wednesday I'll be ready to go from the start and just explore the expansion.
Yeah, perfect timing. All right, but let's move on. We got a question to you, Repek, actually here. We have to ask, because technically you're not a part of the Gwent team, right? You're taking care of all the events going on at CDPR. So do you get to see the upcoming content beforehand, or do you see the reveals at the same time as everyone else in the community? How does it look like for you?
So in theory, I can ask, Buja or Moligen, right?
Yeah.
And hey guys, what's going on there? But I don't want to do this because, like you said, I'm in the events team. We are taking care of because we are a team. I'm not there alone. It's a team of 4 people working on different events, and if what makes this job interesting is that I prefer to keep this casual approach to the game. I'm trying to keep the perspective of a player, of an outsider who is not inside. So when the cards are coming, I'm really hyped, and for me it works, right? For me it is important to see it at the same time as everyone does. Of course, from time to time, I'm asking Vlad, okay, when are we going to nerf this card that starts with A and ends with Alchemist? And but that's it. Usually, I don't know much, and I don't want to know.
Yeah, makes sense. Not spoiling the fun. You can, have some fun with the other community members as soon as the cards drop on the website.
Honestly, your anecdote about the card that starts with an A, it reminded me of an interview, or maybe it was Twig, or maybe it was or maybe it was Commander's Horn. Years ago, Pavel said he usually has a very similar experience, because he's not in charge of balance. That's not his field of expertise. But sometimes when people just keep complaining about the one card, he's like, casually strolling through the office, knocking on some people's doors, like, "Yeah, guys, yeah, how you doing? How about this card though? It could be nerfed, right?"
Yeah, so I'm trying to watch Tweak every Friday to see what's going on in the game, right? It's not that I'm all the time talking to the guys from the Gwent teams. They have a lot of things on their plate, right? Every day I have mine. So before COVID, it was easier. We were all in the studio, so sometimes during lunch we could talk about something. Right now, it's not possible. So yeah, I'm watching Twig to know what's going on in the game. I like it, and every week there is everyone is asking Buja so many questions about the balance that in fact he cannot answer. Right? Those are the questions to Moligen and guys who are working on the game, actual game.
Yeah, exactly. Which prompts me to ask a follow-up question, because as we already said, we've seen most of the cards, and you're not part of the Gwent team. Is there any card that you've seen this during this review cycle where you feel like, okay, this is too strong, it should be nerfed already before the release?
I really leave it to pros, like we said before. Probably there are cards that when you have a bronze, you tend to think, okay, bronze usually it won't be that won't affect the game that much, and then we have an A chemist card and it works well. It has a big impact on the game. So, well, like I said, I'm trying not to make that kind of predictions. Maybe this summoning card from Fuchsia, right? I don't know how to pronounce it, right?
Oh, there is a community pronunciation that I don't think you will like.
Yeah, I can get, yeah. So F card, and on paper, so on digital paper, it looks quite strong, right? Skellige already have some summoning cards, but well, if you put one summoning card, you have to probably something out of the deck. So I will wait for the pros to do this for us. I guess that after the first week, there will already be like a wall of complaints about some cards, and then the next week someone will find a counter. So I'm waiting for the decks to appear on playgwent.com to net deck them and play them on stream.
Another instance.
Promoting net decking.
Yeah, another instance of devs net decking. When we had Jean on the show, it was like a month ago. He's part of the design team, and he admitted publicly that he's a filthy net decker.
Yeah, I think net decking is totally fine, because I always admit that I'm not a great deck builder. I've played many card games in the past, traditional ones and digital ones, and building a deck, you need to, I think, two skills. First one is you need to know the game good and think about what are the combinations, and that's the first place where there are people who are doing this much better than I do. And the second one is time, right? You need time to, sit and think about the deck, and those are the things that I lack. But I think I can play the game, right? So I was successful in many card games before on a casual level, not on a pro level. But when I get a good deck and I practice a bit, I can play it. So I love people who are creating the decks for us, and I can be a filthy net deckers ambassador. So thank you, great deck builders. We need you. You are saving our time, and we enjoy the decks you are building.
Yeah, this is something what I was mentioning when we were talking to Jean as well. I'm a filthy net decker myself because I just lack the time and ability to just put it all together. Just like, I don't know, even Shinmire has like a spreadsheet with all the cards and he's theory crafting before the release, right? This is something amazing to me. It's like, I always enjoy those streams with Shinmire.
Mm-hmm. And one more thing regarding this. I think that usually people are complaining about the net deckers because we are playing. Most people who are net decking, they're playing the same decks, right? So very fast, the ladder is populated with the same decks, right? I can get it that it is boring, right? That we are playing against like 5 to 10 best decks. But people who think that people who are not net decking would build better deck and make the ladder more interesting, I think they're wrong, because if I cannot build a good deck myself, right, interesting one, spicy one, probably won't be there on the top of the ladder. And on the top of the ladder, there will still be players playing probably the best, the most refined decks. So I don't think it matters. It would affect the ladder much, the experience, if everyone tries to play their own decks.
Yeah, I think I said that during one of the previous episodes. I used to be in strong opposition to net decking, and then I started working full time. And it's changed my perspective on that. I still make my own decks, but I can clearly understand why some people think, you know what, I'm not that skilled a player. I don't really have time to explore all the possibilities. So I'm just gonna, lay it in the hands of the pros to come up with something that works that I can play after work for a couple of games.
Exactly. The only decks that from time to time, I'm trying to create are meme lore decks. Back in the day, after big challengers, I was trying to create a deck that stamps the big tournament up, right? Because sometimes during the big tournament there is a card or that wins our hearts, right? Usually they were played by Freddy Bates, right? He was finding a card that no one was using, and then wow, this card works in the tournament environment. So that was the thing that I used to do, and right now sometimes there is a expansion with the cards that we know from the lore, and they do not work together at all. But it is for a person who likes Witcher lore, it is fun to see them on board at the same time. So yeah, that's what I sometimes do.
And speaking of meme or lore-friendly decks, I have to know, because not too long ago, Radea and Shoop got buffed. And you, as the self-proclaimed Shoop ambassador, how do you feel about it? How happy are you about those changes?
First of all, I'm really sorry I don't have Shoop with me here, because I left him in Krakow and I'm in Warsaw right now. That's unfortunate. Sorry, but yeah, I'm really happy about the buff because I hope that sooner or later we'll have new cool decks with Shupi that I can net deck, and I know there is something going on. One of the teams are preparing something, so yeah, let's see. I'm all in.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, it's great to hear.
I actually saw the Radea change as an incentive to experiment this patch. Right? Because a lot of you were saying, oh, this patch is not really that big, it doesn't really address many issues, or doesn't really rework that many cards, but I think that one provision change to a card like this is clearly an incentive for you to think, you know what? It's a little bit of an off-season, and Radea just got changed. Why not try it? Why not play her for a month? Come up with all kinds of ridiculous decks.
Yeah, it's funny because actually I got back to pro with a Nilfgaardian deck with Shup and Radea, and it seemed pretty strong. It's maybe not like super competitive, but it's really good.
Yeah, so share me the list after the show. I still have I still have 1 day, right, to get to the pro.
Oh yeah.
I only need to win 4 games. Maybe I can do this with Shup.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I actually made a mage-oriented Radea Nilfgaard control deck. And, some matchups, it's not performing that well. For example, Skellige Warriors, because there's not a whole lot to control. But whenever I see Nature's Gift or Precision Strike coming up on the versus screen, I'm like, sir, you just lost in the deck builder. Because I have so much control, their gold is just pathetic. It's like 10 points. And I still have ways to remove it.
Nasty, man.
Always. Which actually made me think about, you were talking about Viper Witcher Alchemist, and I was thinking about Kingslayer the other day because a lot of people are kind of tired of Mill. Mill is not fun because it's RNG driven, and it's a little bit toxic. People hate Mill. So I was like, yeah, let's change Kingslayer. Let's rework Kingslayer. I thought, okay, but he's a Witcher, Viper Witcher. Okay, let's make him to support Clog. So, still evil. No wholesome cards in Nilfgaard. Not gonna happen.
Well, this is what Nilfgaard is about, right? So.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's why I love the faction. That's why I always say it's the most loved and the most hated faction.
Yep. Hate it or love it.
I love playing Nilfgaard. They're great. I don't care about Mill. Well, it always looks like this, that if you're on one side of the Mill, you hate it, and if you're on the other side of it, you love it. For me, it's fine. Every deck can be beaten. So.
Oh. Repek is actually sitting in the Emperor's room, by the way, guys. So this is only proving that.
Hello, this guy over there is looking at us. Right?
Yeah.
Huh? Hello. Hello, Emperor.
Yeah, I actually found it really cool that you decided to appear on the show from the Gwent studio, from the CDPR studio.
Yeah, I'm in Warsaw, where we have the main headquarters, and for the weekend, and I'm living quite close to the studio. It's like 10 minutes walk. So I said, well, why not? And sorry about the flicker, but we have very cool lighting here in this room, with the Emperor and the swords, but it's affecting the camera a bit. So
It looks great, man. It looks great.
Absolutely,
Don't worry
love
about
it. Moving on.
Yeah, let's move on from the decks that we have now to the decks that are gonna be appearing on the scene in just a couple of days. So after seeing nearly all the cards revealed, obviously, what's your take, guys, on the installment of Price of Power as a whole, and what are you hoping to play as soon as the expansion drops, as the last batch of the expansion drops?
you mean what I think about the new formula of dropping the cards?
Oh, yeah, that as well. And in general, what do you think about the whole expansion? And then what decks are you planning to play with that
Like
last
I
batch?
said, I really like the stories behind the game, if it's possible, and the Gwent has this, because there is a big story behind it already, right? We know the games, we know the books, so for the writers, I think it's very nice thing to have, right? They can think, okay, let's introduce this card, and if we introduce another one, we can make a story around them. What you can find in this in this whole expansion, in all the three parts, there is a story behind it, and I realized it's like, I don't know, several weeks ago. I think Vlad, so Thor Serpent, told me, "Hey, Repek, there is a story there, right? In every single drop of the cards, there is another character, and they are doing something there, right?" So, oh man, that's great. So that's what I liked about this expansion, because like I said, I'm not judging the cards before I play them. What I'm going to play, I love monsters, but the in general, I love monsters. I love the design and the aesthetics of the faction. I always did. But right now, Torque all the way. Let's hand buff it.
Nice. I'm with you on that.
hmm And I think we have Philavandrel there as well. So wow, these hands are going to shine.
Nice.
Shillard is very happy about that.
What about you, Matt?
Oh wow, yeah. As I already said, I'm already cooking an illusionist deck because that card just seems so cool, right? Of course, we have all the other cards in the Novigrad package, but then again, I look at Vogeforce and I think we already have a combo like this. We already have Gorthulve Cantarella, so it kind of replicates what we already have. So it can wait in terms of experimenting with new decks. I'm definitely gonna dump Lydia into every Novigrad deck because she's just too good to pass on. And I love the art. A huge props to the Gwent team for using the art from the artwork contest that was held a couple of years ago, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was long time ago. We are talking about Lydia, so that's another story, right? We have Vilgefortz and Lydia coming together, right?
Yeah.
So that's another thing that like is lore friendly.
Yeah, I have to tell you, I was really looking forward to see Lydia in the game, and before the last installment, before the second installment, I was actually knocking on some doors digitally and asking Jean and Jason and guys, do we get Lydia this installment? Is Lydia in the works? And everyone was just giving me the face like, don't ask, just don't ask. So yeah, that is an awesome card, and Practitioner looks really strong as well. So if I'm gonna play Assimilate, if any form or shape, definitely putting him in the deck. But yeah, for now it's all about Illusionists. Oh man, it just looks too good. Like the meme potential of that card is through the roof. And then if I diverge to some other faction, then yeah, probably hand buff as well.
Nice. All right, so there's like a small betrayal, but as we know, the Scoia'tael
It's basically
cooperated. So
Novigrad. Scoia'tael is
yeah,
basically Novigrad. We already know that.
we know that.
It would be actually, it would be awesome, right? If there was a Nilfgaardian unit that could spawn or create or whatever the Vryhed units, because the Vryhed Brigade was part of the Nilfgaardian army.
Yeah,
that would be really cool. I don't think it's gonna happen because we already know that anything that's cross faction is a little bit of a problem when it comes to balance. For example, look at Gord right now. A lot of people are like, "Yeah, Gord is too strong. Nerf Gord," and I agree, right? Gord in Scoia'tael is too strong, but it's a dual faction card. So if you nerf it too harsh, it's gonna completely kill it in Syndicate. And I know that it's not very popular in Syndicate right now, but still, you want the card to be playable in both factions. So any kind of significant nerf will just completely kill it for Syndicate. And I think that's part of the problem here. So I completely understand why we are not getting any dual faction cards anymore.
Mhm. Well, maybe we will at some point. You never know.
Oh, you never know. If there's
No idea.
anything if there's anything I learned about the Gwent dev team, you guys are crazy. So anything,
Yes, they are.
anything can happen. Absolutely.
But I can imagine why it would be hard right now. During the Novigrad expansion, there was new faction introduced, so we needed a lot of cards for the new faction. So it was a reasonable idea to have them cross-faction, right?
Yeah.
In the cross-faction form. Right now, I don't think we need it, right? Or do we? I don't know. I know that's a question to the design team, but I think that what you said, that it's hard later on to balance them because you have to think about two factions. It's just true.
We talk about the cards, but there's a thing I would like to talk about as well, and it kind of links to the video that Lionheart posted yesterday about our community expectations when it comes to the development schedule. So as we already said multiple times, it's the last expansion of this set. So what's your opinion on this new development schedule so far, and what do you think could be improved moving forward?
First of all, I'm really always thankful and grateful that there are people in the community who care and organize things like this. So shout out to Lionheart for doing this. I took part in this survey. Let's call it, right. I answered all the questions like I was a outsider, because for me it looks like this. Like for me, I'm a player who gets the cards every 2 months, and I'm playing them. And in my opinion, for me it works, right? So I'm quite happy with this, but I really can't tell you what's going to happen in the future. From my perspective, it's okay. It's fine. I like this new format. It's totally different from what we were used to as players, right? When I was told how it would be, how it would look like this year, I said, well, no kegs, no boosters. Usually in the card games, you have this cool moment of buying a booster, a keg, and then, well, let's hope for something cool. Even if you have all the cards, it's nice to have something shiny on the screen. But now it's changed, and well, maybe that's a good change. But for sure, the community team will they will read the the whole the outcome of. They will get to know what are the impressions and thoughts from the community, and we will see. Like I said, that's totally not my decision. I like the new format, and if most of the players will like it, probably it will be considered to stay this way, but who knows.
Yeah, I mean, like, judging from what we can see from the video, for Lionheart's video, we can see that most of the players also support this idea, right, of keeping this development schedule. On the other hand, you can see the downsides, obviously, right? Like, we can imagine that only after this batch, we are going to see the full shine of the expansion, the full shine of all these archetypes buffed. And during that, before that, actually there was a problem because a lot of people were, for example, playing a lot of mid-range decks, and the community didn't like it a lot. So those are definitely some of the downsides. But yeah, getting more cards in a shorter period of time is something needed for the game, I think. And as we can see from the polls, only 10%, like below even 10% of people wanted to get back to just two expansions one expansion every 6 months, right? So this is definitely a no-go for the future. But it's going to be interesting to see what the team is going to decide for next year and for the next season. But
Yeah,
I like it as well. I like it.
That's the important thing, that when we drop a whole expansion, right? Like imagine dropping 72 cards, right?
Yeah.
In the middle of summer. Then after a month, some players who are playing a lot, right? They instantly refine the best possible decks. And right now, I think in this new format, the game is stays fresh, right? For a longer period. I still think that, of course, after right now, if we drop this expansion, then after several months, people will see all the possibilities. But well, that's how it works. But for sure, we need new cards dropping, but kegs are staying there, right? So you can get the cards from different in a different way. You don't have to spend money, right? In this, I think that our philosophy of being generous, right? It's not a pay to win game. That's at all, right? You can
Definitely not.
yeah. So I think that's fair.
I actually
Yeah,
think
absolutely. You can just gather the resources and just craft the cards as soon as they appear, right? So you can get ready for the release of the batches of the expansion. So it makes sense.
But I actually think you misread the graphics, because the option to stay with the current schedule was like 30-something%, and all the
Yeah,
other
that's right.
options were the majority, except people didn't really agree on what kind of schedule they want.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you take it like that, it's true. It's true. Yeah.
So there is that, and personally, I don't mind getting new content every other month, but what worries me is that the Gwent team is too small to properly evaluate everything on time, because the deadlines are there, and that the PDRs have to be short, because there's just always something in the works. There's always something in the pipeline. So you said, Repek, that the game stays fresh, and it does, but it also stays perpetually broken, because the cards that are OP are gonna be there always, because there's always the new batch, there's always new content, and there's never enough time to properly evaluate their power.
Yeah, but let me ask you a question: Is there a digital card game that's different? Isn't the nature of card games in general that the team that designs the cards can be very big? Like, let's say there are 100 people working constantly on a game, like only designing, checking the cards, and then they release it, and there are thousands or even hundreds of thousands of people playing, and it is almost impossible. It is we can be sure that they will always find something that's OP. And so the good, so we will have broken cards every time, I think. So because that's the nature of card games. What's a good thing about digital card games, that we can react, right? And I think that most of times we are doing this at Gwent. At least I feel it is working. I know there are some cards that people are complaining constantly, but in general, I think that we are reacting, and it is easier to react to the to make some changes in a digital world, right? And not in a traditional, and in opposition to the traditional card games. So I think the broken cards there are part of all the card games. That's the way. The only thing is how we react to this. It is. I don't think there is a way around to avoiding this. Even if we had like years to prepare a new expansion.
I don't really know how it works in other card games because Gwent is the only card game that I'm playing. And I'm not necessarily talking about cards that were difficult to predict because sometimes it takes a couple of days or weeks for the community, for all these thousands of people to figure it out. I'm talking about cards that are broken and people know that before the release. For example, Mamuna. Like that card, anyone with to quote people from my own team, from Team Legacy, the only requirement to determine that card like that is being broken is the ability to read. And so this is my only worry, that we have cards like that where everyone knows, okay, Mamuna broken on release. The F card is probably gonna be in the same category. So this is my only worry, that we are talking about cards like that where it's just blatantly obvious.
Yes, well, so that's what I'm saying. There will always now and then there will always happen a situation like this. There is a card. There is during the production, the dev team said, okay, it's fine. Then it drops, and we realize, okay, it's not perfect, right? And I think as a players, and I'm talking as a player here, right? I'm not a dev. I'm not sitting there. Maybe I would have seen it, maybe not. I'm not a pro player. Probably I would miss it too. And as a player, then I'm playing against this card and say, okay, that's the last card, that's Mamuna, I already lost, right? And it was like for a month, but I accept it. I just accept it as a player. I accept that that's the way with designing card games, living card games. It will happen. The problem would be if the devs would say, okay, now we are living with this card for a year. Okay, until the next expansion, we will have 5 counters against this card that will be stealing this card or something like this, and it will immediately and at that point it will be the worst card in the game because no one will be playing this. So I think that's the approach that I like. That we will never be certain that all the cards will be perfect, but the final approach is the right approach is to react at as soon as possible. Okay.
And now let me explain where I was going with this, because it sounds like I'm just bashing the design team for making poor decisions. I'm not. The worry that I have is that in this current development schedule, they probably saw that. They probably saw that Mamuna or the F card or any other card that we perceive as broken, they saw that during the testing phase, but there was simply not enough time to address the issue before the release. Because sometimes it's very easy. Sometimes you can increase provisions or reduce power. But sometimes the solution to a card is not very obvious. It takes time, as you already said, right? It takes time to react.
I get you. We are talking about the schedule, right? Because that's where it came from, right? We've been talking about the schedule. So what I'm trying to say, even that's, I think from the perspective of playing games, card games for many years right now, digital ones and traditional ones, I think even if you have a year to prepare expansion and test it, there will always be cards that are overlooked and they are broken. I don't think that this, maybe if you have more time, you will find more problematic cards, but still I think it will happen because the history shows us that it works like this in this kind of games.
All right.
Yeah.
So we just have a different opinion on the development schedule. You like the 2 months. I'm probably more inclined to say, yeah, maybe one less expansion a year, a little bit more time for testing and balancing. But it's all about the preference. And as we saw in the poll, people are divided because around 30-something% people say yes, this is perfect. We like this schedule. Other people say maybe 3 expansions, maybe 2 expansions. So there's a lot of opinions out there. So it's completely natural for us to disagree on that.
You know what, guys? I think that we also got to remember that maybe it would be a better time to evaluate right after this batch because we just haven't seen the full picture yet, right? It's like we are seeing the cards, we have theory crafting, but we just haven't seen the main idea. The main idea was to drop 3 batches and then just, see a bigger balance and maybe some archetypes revived, right? So maybe there are going to be more options, more better decks to choose from because a lot of people were just complaining about having, let's say, 1 or 2 decks for every faction to play with, right? Competitive decks. But maybe it's going to change after this batch, right? So
So we are saying we have 2 competitive decks per faction right now.
Yeah,
it's not bad. It's actually pretty
what
good.
I wanted to ask you, is it?
No, I don't think
so. Is it a lot
so.
or not? Because for me, having 12 decks, it's
no, 2 decks.
Okay.
Did I say 12? No.
No, you said 2 per faction. You have 6 factions, that makes 12 decks.
Yeah.
I agree with Repek on that one. 12 competitive decks in a season is actually pretty damn good.
Yeah,
especially if you are a beta player and you remember when the ladder was dominated by something like Skellige Frost with Axemen or the Great Swords or whatever, when everyone and their mother was playing that one deck. But 12 decks is actually pretty good.
Yeah, well, maybe it's a overstatement coming from me. I think that people were just, saying something different. But anyways, like I'm saying that it's like too few competitive decks to play with, right? This is what some of the pro players are saying.
Okay.
These are not my words, for sure. But yeah, the main point is we just gotta wait, right? I would like to see that poll coming out maybe after this batch of the expansion. That would probably make more sense. And then we can just evaluate and see if this development schedule is good or not. Because, for example, for me, I can agree on playing, let's say, 3 or 4 decks between each of the batches, and then at the end have like plentiful of decks, and then enjoy the meta a bit more, right? So for me, it's pretty alright. For me, it's pretty alright. Definitely, I don't want to see like 1 expansion every 4 months. Or definitely not the last option, right? 2 expansions, 1 every 6 months.
Yeah, we have to remember
that would be awful.
We have to remember this is actually what we wanted, right? Everyone was up in arms saying we want more expansions a year. We don't need more cards. We just want more content updates, and we got that.
Yeah.
So we are also not exactly in a position to complain because this is exactly what we wanted, and the devs were like, "Okay, you want so many expansions, you get so many expansions."
Yeah. Definitely. Okay, but let's just let off our steam here and jump to the theme of the expansion, right? Because we got the price of power, which was all about magic, we could say, right? And that was the overall theme with our Arethusa boards as well, with the journey, right? And which was awesome to me, for example. And I wonder, guys, what is your wish list for the future sets? What would you like to see as a main theme of the expansion?
Oh, well, before this, when I was preparing for this meeting today with you, I checked all the previous expansions. I think this one is the 7th one, right?
Yeah.
So each of them was bringing, apart from some theme, right, vampires or then soldiers with armor. So each of them was bringing some cool. They were bringing mechanics, right? Some new mechanics. So this time, I think that we only have some new additions to the existing mechanics, like you said about bonded, things like this. But there was nothing like new, like devotion or eco, things that really affected the whole game. So I wonder if, like I said, as a player waiting for the new expansion, I'm thinking about what do the designers have in mind for the future expansions. Are we going to have something like this, right?
Yeah.
Because for me, every time it's one thing is theme and the other thing is mechanics that are affecting the game. So that's one thing. And yeah, I have one theme that I would like to see in the game, but maybe you have the same ideas. I will wait for for your answer.
All right.
What
Matt,
you would like to see? Because I checked all the expansions, and we have so many teams that were present in the books or in the games, now that they are in the game, they are in Gwent, right?
Yeah.
So there is one thing that I think that should be boosted a bit more and get some more love. But I wonder if you have the same thing on your mind. So I won't help you.
It's actually pretty
Matt,
difficult
what
to
would you
say because, as you said, we had the vampires and this whole Toussaint theme. We had Witchers not too long ago. We had Warfare with Iron Judgment. We had Ophir during the Merge of Ophir expansion.
Magic,
now we
right?
have agents and coups and this whole magic thing going on with Prize of Power. What I would like to see is maybe something about diplomacy, because for example there's Kovir. It's completely not represented right now. There's nothing really to Kovir in the game. I think there's only Priscilla who comes from Kovir originally, but she also appeared in Novigrad during The Witcher 3. So I don't think she's bound to Kovir. And we know that Triss was supposed to go to Kovir, and that's basically it. So maybe something like that, diplomacy. There's so many characters that could be part of that. In Scoia'tael, because we have the Blue Mountains and Dol Blathana, you have the Skellige Isles and their own treaties with the Empire and with the North.
You are a true Nilfgaard player, right?
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
Nilfgaard, you have so many potential diplomats.
Tell it to monsters. Who is going to be diplomat there?
Anel maybe.
Those White Hunt invaders, right?
In a way, yeah, maybe. But you had Gales, and that was part of diplomacy.
You are
right?
with us, or you are destroyed.
Not necessarily. You have Gales, for instance, right? Who was the viceroy of the Enel Kingdom, and he did make a deal with Geralt and the crew. So I assume there is some diplomats in there. They are not necessarily making treaties with the unicorns. But then again, monsters are always kind of out. Like, for example, we say, yeah, what about monsters? But then again, we had the Way of the Witcher. What about monsters? They are the targets. They are being killed by Witchers. So it's not exactly that there is no monster Witcher. So in a way, there's always gonna be a faction that doesn't exactly fit.
Yeah, I'm kidding about. Yeah, that's a cool idea.
That's a cool idea.
Camille?
Yeah.
And you? Sorry for hijacking the interview. Camille, what would you like to see in Gwent?
Well, I'm actually a simple guy, and I would go for something that I was mentioning before a lot during my streams too, and a lot of other people from the community also, and that would be Zerrikania and the dragons. That just would be something that I would love to see. And there's just a lot of stuff to discover and to explore in Zerrikania, because we don't know a lot about that part of the Witcher world. And actually Gwent could be that bridge to that world, right? Undiscovered world. So that'd be great. And here actually I think that we can see it in every faction.
So if I have a wish to the dev team, I would like to see more bandits.
Yeah.
Lately I was trying to build a meme deck with bandits, and it was hard because there are not enough cool bandits right now, and they are there in the world.
Yes.
In Gwent world, in Witcher's universe, there are this fringe, right? There are outcasts. I think that it would be cool to have more of them. So that's my wish.
Yeah, very good one.
We can have bandit dragons doing diplomacy, right?
Yeah. But actually, Camille, you mentioned Zerrikania, and I didn't read those stories, but there is a series of short stories written by Russian and Ukrainian authors with the blessing of Sapkowski, and they are about the exploration of the Witcher world. Like, like Koviri's sailing westwards to discover what's on the other side of the ocean, and I guess that would fit all the factions. Maybe elves just trying to find a new place to live, and the elves also arrived on the continent on their white ships, so maybe we could explore their original homeland. NL, the same story. They are traveling between worlds. Novigrad is probably going south, trading with Zerikania, Ophir, and Zanguebar and other countries. We have this whole Korathi business going on.
Yeah.
So that could also be it, and that will just expand the Witcher lore in the game.
Yeah, pretty cool idea. I haven't read those stories either, and it's funny you mentioned that they are actually Russian, but yeah, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah, Mr. Russian streamer.
I gotta work on my Google foo here.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think that's it when it comes to this segment of the podcast, because we talk about the cards, our wishes, about the expansion system, and I would like to talk more about competitive Gwent in the sense of how it is organized, and that's your field of expertise, Repek. But before we go there, we have a small announcement, guys. Because it happens so that it's not only episode 30 of Merchants of Novigrad, it's also our 2nd anniversary. Just a little bit more than 2 years ago, we aired our first episode, and I still remember it was Bibo Boop, who is no longer part of the community, who was our first guest. And on this occasion, and that's actually Repek's initiative, we are doing a giveaway. So all you guys have to do is you have to go to our Twitter account at Novigrad Podcast, and there's a tweet saying that you can win some goodies. We have 3 copies of the Autumn Bundle and 3 copies of the Autumn Pack. So you can get either the board and card back or Meteor Powder and the coin, and this way you are going to support the esports scene. So all you have to do, as I said, you have to go to our Twitter, you have to follow us on Twitter and like the tweet, and this way you are going to participate. I just don't know how much time we are going to give you guys. A couple of days, I guess? A week, maybe? We still have to agree on that. But there's going to be a macro selecting 6 lucky people getting some goodies. So this is our little announcement. We've been doing this for 2 years. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Merchant.
Thank you.
Thank you. And with that being said, also happy birthday to all the previous hosts of the show. So Baby Joseph, Lionheart, Thea Beastie, as well as Villa, who's still part of the show. He just ventures somewhere in the woods, and he's rarely here, but he's still part of our group.
Yeah, he's just a silent one,
Oh yeah, like you can see him right in the upper lower left corner. He's there, upper left corner. Villa, you can see him chilling. It's totally not Freya Allen. So once again, guys, check our Twitter, like the tweet, follow us on Twitter, and participate in the giveaway.
Oh yeah, for those who are watching us right now on Twitch, I just sent the link in chat, so you can just follow the link and instantly take part in that giveaway. Pretty sure you're gonna like it, and there's gonna be a huge possibility because we have 3 Autumn Esports bundles and 3 Autumn Esports packs. So the chances are pretty big.
Absolutely. So let's get back on track. Competitive Gwent. First question with competitive season number 3 slowly coming to an end. We have 2 events left. What can we expect from these events? And we're talking about Gwent Open in number 4. We're talking about World Masters. So the COVID situation is calming down a little bit here and there. So what can we expect in terms of setting, studio presence, and whatnot? Because I think you are the right person to tell us more about that, Repek.
Yeah, so what can we expect? First of all, Gwent Open on 23rd, 24th of October. You can expect a lot of Hesser there, because we have 7 out of 8 players speak either Chinese, Ukrainian, or Russian. So we need Hesser here to help us with this.
Get used to my face, guys.
Yes, and Hesser's voice. So
and voice.
Yeah, so Hesser will be there throughout the whole. That's the thing that Hesser, you're guaranteed to be in the final, right?
Yeah.
Because every time when we are working on these events, at some point comes, okay, and I think he's rooting for the guys from Russia, from China, to stay with us around the whole weekend. And sometimes they get eliminated on Saturday during the quarterfinals. Right, this time you are in the final, Hesser. Congratulations!
Yay.
You can bet on Hesser. He will be there. So that's the first thing. It was so this year was. Well, I think it was easier for us because we had some experience from the previous one. So right now we are sticking to the schedule. Well, the schedule is set. Nothing is going to stop us because we know how to do this. So Gwent Open in October and then Masters in December. Everything is going to happen this way. You said that COVID is, well, the situation is COVID is probably better. Well, we are very careful about this. Unfortunately, in Poland, the number of infections probably they are going to rise. Unfortunately, so that's we cannot do the offline event this year. There's no chance to do this. We would love to, but it is just impossible. We have to think about the safety of our employees, and of the players, everyone who would come here. So please expect something like last year, right? So for us, the most important thing is that the players, that there are no issues during the tournament, right? In these difficult circumstances with COVID, the players are the people who matters the most, right? We love to and we still love to throw the great tournaments with awesome scenography, cosplayers, things like this. But in the end, the most important thing is that there are the games that are played fair, right? So everything works fine, and I think we can deliver. Last year we proved it, and I think the Gwent Master Season 2 finals where everything went fine. So we hope everything will go fine this time.
All right.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. And following up on that one, we obviously assume that there's a limit and you want to limit the number of people at the studio, but is there any chance that cosplayers will return to Gwent tournaments either this or next season? Because it was always great to see them. They were doing a great job. It was awesome to see them during the live events as well, the offline events. So could you shed some light on this one?
So yeah, we usually cooperated with Witcher School. The Witcher School. It's an agency called 5 Elements. They're official partner right now. They're official partner of CD Projekt, and they are doing a great thing that's called Witcher School. You can Google it, and it's a live experience Witcher School. You can go and become a real Witcher. I took part in this, and it's life-changing experience. Really, trial of the grasses, everything. So Google it. I'm not saying anything more because I'm not allowed to. So yeah, in the past when we had offline events, before the COVID era, it was always cool to have them with us because they were adding this flavor to all the events.
Yeah.
And even during the last Challenger, when that was organized here in our studio, we had Eredin, and the cool fact is that Eredin, in fact, is one of our employees. Kevin, he's community manager for France.
Yeah.
So it was easier. Right now, like I said, we cannot bring them into the studio. There is no point in having a lot of cosplayers in our tavern, which is in fact not that big. So for now, we are not planning anything big. As soon as we can organize something big, we most definitely will have cosplayers. At least we'll try very hard to have them, because it was always cool, I think, for us on set and for players to have them around. It was adding a lot of flavor and depth to the tournament.
Yeah, makes sense. We understand it's a very difficult time, and you can't possibly make any promises right now.
It is difficult to have them in studio, right? Because it is difficult to organize a tournament somewhere offline, offline in a bigger venue. Yeah, so that's the problem. There's really no point in having them here in our studio because it is already difficult to have Buja and our team there, right? So there is not that much space as you might have imagined.
Yeah,
go on.
Yeah, there's actually one cool thing that Alice here is mentioning in chat, that maybe it would be a great idea to have Bart sing something for Masters 3, right? And maybe record it on his own, right? And just play it. We don't have to invite him. Just let him play it, right?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for this. Hello,
That's a good
Alice.
hint.
Thank you for the suggestion. It's not, well, okay. I'll pass it to the team. Right? We are in touch with him all the time. Bart the man.
It's actually an amazing idea because, for example, if you look at the footage from where Kevin cosplayed as Aradin, there was a short video of him just walking through Warsaw and interacting with people and eating ice cream.
Yeah, we had great time recording this in Warsaw. It was, but again, it was before.
Yeah, but I think you should be technically able to record that outside. So,
it is doable. It is doable, and we'll think about this.
Awesome. But yeah, as I already mentioned, there is no point in making any promises at the moment. But what are your hopes regarding the offline events?
Well, as an event manager, I learned during the last year and a half, I learned to be very cautious. In the beginning, I think when it all hit us in March 2020, it was, well, out of the blue, right? Even if we knew that something is coming, that still we didn't know how hard it will hit everyone, the whole industry, event industry. So we had to adjust. And right now, really, I'm trying not to think too far ahead in time because it just doesn't work. And we can, for example, we could hype something great for the next year, and then we just would have to say, sorry guys, but the COVID is not going anywhere, and we need to play it safe again. So yeah, but trust me, in the events team, we would love to go outside and create bigger events for fans. That's what I miss from the, let's say, old days, that we could organize even a small tournament here. It was like open, right? For us, it's a small tournament comparing to Challenger or Masters, and we could have people from community in the studio. That was great. Like 50 people sitting here, players coming, and it was like almost a community gathering. At some point, I said to the team that every time we organize an open, we'll have community gathering here because it adds so much, let's say, cool factor to the event, and it's great. You may not see it on the screen, right? But for all the participants here and for whole team, it generates so much energy that it really helps us during the event. Because in the past, sometimes there were just players coming, Camille as a translator, makeup artist, stylist, and that was all. It was in the evening, we were just like 20 people sitting there, okay, game after game. Then I think it was Team Aretuza's initiative. Hey guys, can we come? And we said, okay, please come. And then it was a blast, and said, okay, let's do this every time if we can. So that's the thing that I would love to do as soon as we are allowed to do this.
Yeah, that was a great experience, and I'm always remembering that and mentioning that during the streams too. And it would be awesome to see everybody in person finally, because every single tournament this season we had to just communicate in Discord and just having like this little chats there. But it would be awesome to see everybody again. And there are some ideas of having like the huge gathering during before the first final of the Masters season 1, I think. And it also, it was right before the plague. Right?
It still breaks my heart when I think about March 2020.
Yeah.
I don't think because we got the information that we have to postpone everything. Like, right, people were already. Okay, it was like this. It was Tuesday, and I remembered like it was yesterday. It was Tuesday. It was 5 p.m. I was going home after work. Everything was prepared. Everyone was going to board their planes and come to Warsaw. Magbeard from Canada, Shinmiri, Flake, everyone, and players from all around the world and Europe, and I guess it was 5 p.m. I'm going out of the office and someone is calling me. I pick up the phone and it's Vlad, and he's saying, "Hey, Repek, we are postponing the event." And it was like I was standing in the parking and turned around, went straight back to my desk, and I sat there. Vlad came there, and I think it took us 1 hour to make everything right. I think I called McBeard and Shemiri, and I think they were almost going to the airport at that point. So we stopped them at the very last moment, because if they came, it's not that the tournament wouldn't happen. They would have problem with coming back to their countries. That was the problem with some of the players that came to Poland earlier, and some of the community members that were coming there for a big gathering. That was one thing. Was that event was postponed. That was one thing that really was hurtful for us. But the other was, hey, there were so many people coming and wanted to meet, and we were really sad about this, that it couldn't happen. So let's have it as soon as it is possible and safe to have it.
Yeah. Yeah, I still remember those days. It's just so surreal. Right? Like one minute you are reading McBeard's tweet, "Hey guys, I'm heading for the airport." And then 2 hours later, the event is not happening.
Yeah. So it was one of the, I think it was the strangest experiences in my professional career, right? So we had this great event planning, because we've been waiting for the season 1 to end for so many months, right? It was a very long season, right? I think it was the longest of the seasons in the card games industry, like in all the games probably. And then when you have to postpone it, it's heartbreaking, but at the same time we learned a lot. For me, it was I learned a lot at this point, right?
Let's move to more positive things, because
please do.
Props to you guys for running the online events in such a cool way, and we would like to learn more about that, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Now that we have this perspective, and online events are our new reality, could you tell us maybe more about what you think? What are the cons? What are the differences between the online events, offline events, and what are the pros of that? Because obviously, online events have some pros, right? So, what do you think about it?
So I said about the pros, from the community gathering perspective, right? From building the community, you cannot have it online with the full power. So are there any the cons? The most important cons. Let's start from the
let's get all of the way quick.
The worst thing is, of course, that we cannot control the environment. When you are coming to our studio, we have our set of computers. It is there. It almost cannot be affected by some random things, And the first online Gwent we had, I don't know if you remember, but we've been working with a very professional. We were not doing this at home in our studio. We've been working with a professional team who is working, who is preparing production for television here, esports television. So those guys are pros, and still we had problems with connection with players from, I think, from Russia, and it even didn't matter that where they were coming from. So it was, for us, it was very stressful, and I can imagine how stressful it is for the players who spend so much time, right, preparing for the tournament, and they go online and they get disconnect like twice, and I think it's not, they get tilted, and the whole that this tournament should be, you know, a celebration, and not only the last tournament, the end of the road, right, and the way to win some money and to get to the last tournament, but just a cool experience. And we can have it in the studio. In the studio, it's cool. You have lighting, everything. But then you are sitting at your home. At least you want to qualify. At least you want to win some money. And then internet says no. So that's the thing that we hate the most. Luckily, later on, I think we only had just a couple of situations like this. So, and it's also because we are better prepared. But yeah, so that's the biggest con. And every time we are just saying, okay, the worst case scenario is if the final game is lost due to the disconnection, and unfortunately it happened, right? Even this year. We had a problem in the final. So as soon as we can have players here, we would love to have them. So what's the pro? Of course, it is from the organizational point of view, it is easier to have an online tournament. I'm usually joking that in the past, my work was to bring players to the tournament. So it meant bring them from their country to our airport, from the airport to the hotel, from the hotel to our studio, from the studio to the table where they were playing, and then backwards from the table to the studio, to the hotel, to the airport. And for me, the event was done when everyone was safe at home, right? So maybe sometimes even Tuesday after the event. Right now, what we are doing is to bring the players to the Discord channel, from the Discord channel to another Discord channel, and then backwards. So right now, wow, it's so much easier. But if someone asks me, let's have the previous situation, previous model back, because it's really better to have everyone here.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. I really don't see, apart from the, of course, it's cool that some. On the other hand, right now in this situation, COVID situation, some players who qualified wouldn't be able to come to Poland, right? So let's say we had it with the Gwent Masters Season 1 finals. Hana-chan qualified there, right?
Yeah.
And he wasn't allowed to come to Poland because of COVID. That was the only reason he wouldn't participate in the finals at that time. So right now, we can. It's not a problem. Wherever you are, you spend so much time playing, and thanks to the online solutions, right? We won't tell anyone that, hey, sorry, you cannot participate in this tournament. You can, but at the same time, we have to have everyone either here in the building, or we are playing in the online format. We talked about this many times, but I don't think it is possible to have some of the players at their homes and some in the studio.
Yeah, that would be pretty much unfair for those people, right? They want to come as well, but they have to participate from their homes. So it makes sense to keep it all together, a coherent situation where everybody's either offline here in the studio or online. It only makes sense.
Yeah, and once again, props to you guys, because I remember when the first online tournament was to take place, and I thought it's not gonna be the same. and still the atmosphere, it felt exactly like an offline tournament, like with everything on it. It just felt great. So
yeah.
we are definitely used to the format by now.
Yeah, it's thanks to our great talents, right? We have that's a cooperation. We have great talents. I think we have awesome casters who probably partly because there are many of them are streamers. I think all of them are streamers. So it's not that for them probably it was easier even to adjust to this situation than for us, because we had no experience with things like this. So that's their part in this accomplishment. And the other hand, I'm really proud of the whole team here, because during this year and a half they learned a lot how to do this, and right now we are doing just in team of we are independent. We don't have to cooperate with anyone, and we can do this in-house.
Okay, so can you shed some more light on how it looks from the backstage perspective? Like, how do you communicate with everyone involved? Because I assume there is, the whole camera crew in the studio recording Pavel and whatnot. There is this whole, I call it the VAR studio, because it looks like the football situation with all those guys behind screens watching every play, and then you have casters, and I remember when Shimiri was on the show, he said, "Yeah, right now I have to assign the plays that allow to showcase myself," and then you have the players. So how does it look like from your end?
Okay, so Hesser knows how many people are there. Can you guess how many people are there in the studio during the event? What's your guess?
I would say in the studio itself, so you have Pavel, so that's one. You have the camera guy who records him, so that's at least two. You are probably there, so that's three.
Yes, I am.
And I would say like three guys behind the scenes, working the computers and plays and whatnot. It's like 6 people at the very least.
Okay, so there are around 10 people every time. So there's also, of course, Burza as a host. And if you see him, right, he's talking to you. So imagine that if he looks to his right, so your left, and then like 1 meter away, there is Vlad sitting, right? So he's
with a gun.
He's controlling observer. Right next to him, there's me. And in the same room is also Dominika, who is taking care of our social media. So 4 people in this room. Ryan Godric, usually always somewhere over there preparing memes for you, things like that. And then there is a separate room with 4 or 5 people producing the show. So yeah, usually there are, so there are 10 people working on site, and it is amazing that we can do this it's not a very big team, but everyone knows what to do, and it works right now. For us, it's almost like in the past when we had offline events. So we really know what to do at every point. So and regarding the communication, we have just Discord channel, right? Discord is working for us. It's not optimal tool, but it's working. And so we have all the casters in one room, all the players in another, and we have to just move them between different channels so they can hear, for example, Hesser if we need an interview after the game. So again, that's in the past. We were just in the room. I was, for example, was in the studio. For example, I was in this room when you can see me, and I was coming for a player. I said, okay, let's go to the studio. You will sit at the table. Right now, we are just in the same room, and I'm saying, okay, please join this room. Turn your camera on. Let's go. But it still requires a lot of focus from everyone.
So yeah, it sounds like more complicated than I thought it would be, but at the same time, it's very compact. So
Mm-hmm.
I can only imagine how stressful it is and how much work it has to be, for you to kind of maneuver. You have only 10 people. It's a small group, and you kind of have to make it all work.
It's really a small group, and I remember during the first opens that we've been doing in the online modes, we were, really stressed that something will go wrong. There were people that were learning how to do this because we had a great, people who were doing offline events in the past, but they couldn't help us during the online ones, but they were the mentors for the new ones. So that was great that the people who were there with us in the past, they helped the new ones, and so this knowledge was transferred. And right now, just please after the Gwent Open, check the credits, and all those people are really working hard to deliver this.
To kind of follow up on this whole situation, because for example, when you said that, okay, there's Pavel standing there and doing all the hosting things, and you said there is Vlad sitting right next to him, and I just imagine Vlad, with his with the face of a cold-blooded killer with a gun. Pavel, if you leak too much, I'm gonna shoot you.
Well, I guess that Pavel knows that he cannot leak too much because he's in charge of this. That's his part in the company. He's our leak master. So I think it's usually him who knows what can be leaked. So don't worry. I don't think that can do
with that being said,
he's
are
safe.
there any funny stories? Because I watch Flake, for instance, and he throws so many references and he says so many things that I kind of get the idea that you are sitting somewhere there in your room and thinking, Jesus, Flake, you shouldn't have said that. And now you have Shinmiri to control because I kind of feel like Flake unleashes him. Shinmiri turns from that, very analytical guy, very calm guy to actually somebody who starts cracking jokes and being the soul of the party. Are there any funny stories that you want to share with us here?
So there is Flake and there is Funny, right? Because he's on the different level. We all know this. He's great, but the great thing about this duo is that there's a great chemistry between them. And trust me, Shinmiri is a very funny guy. He's cracking jokes too, but it works perfect between two of them. They how they are responding to each other. So it's awesome. Oh well, regarding things the backstage, I'm not allowed to share all of them because some of them, include players. So sorry, if I don't have their permission, I won't say this. But I think we had with Vlad because we are during the whole tournament we are sitting next to each other. We are talking a lot, and I think recently we were going to reveal a card. And I'm asking Vlad, okay, Vlad, what's this card about? How is it going to work? And Vlad's explaining this to me and saying, oh, it's going to be a meme card. So don't worry. It will be cool, but it's just a meme. And we are meeting, we revealed the card. Players started playing this, and we are meeting during the next tournament. I think it was quite close. And I'm sitting in the room and saying, "Hey, Vlad, it's going to be. You said it was going to be a meme." And Vlad, yeah, jokes on me. It was Sunset Wanderers. So it happens even to us. So yeah, but the Flake is our star, and he's always making us laugh. And I hope that it works for you too.
Oh yeah, it definitely does. I like the contrast because you have Flake and Shinmiri, extremely funny duo, and then you have this very serious analytical approach of Lionheart and Thea. So like you watch one set of games, it's like it's just constant jokes. You barely can focus on the game, and then you have an explanation of exactly what's going on and what's going to happen from this analytical duo.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I'm really happy about the last year, because in 2020, when the tournament platform was introduced, I said, guys, we need to use this to show the games from the qualifiers, because there are so many great players playing in the qualifiers. Many of them they don't get to play on open, right? Because they lose in the very last game. But let's show how they are playing. So I'm really happy and grateful for grateful to Claymore who helped us. So Claymore, the team that's always helping us with qualifiers, and all the casters that decided to take part in this. And Lionheart and Tia, thanks to these qualifiers and that they were casting, we said, okay, let's have them cast the actual tournament, and it worked great, right? You know that they're working great together, and we also had Spessy and Jaggeres. So I think it's a cool way for the caster, for the streamers to try something new. And well, as you can see, that's a way to get into our cast, into the talent lineup.
Yeah, I really like that you expanded the caster roster. Now we have Shimiri and Flake, we have Lionheart and Dia, we have Spessy and Christo. I'm a huge fan of Christo. I am kind of sad that he's separated from Flake, who's his childhood friend. But nonetheless, really happy about the casters right now. Okay, guys, I think we have to speed it up a little bit because we are slowly approaching our 2-hour limit, and I know that Hesser kinda can't stay for too much longer than that today. So, Hesser, next question.
Yeah, still going to work after the podcast, so yeah, we have to wrap it up a bit. But yeah, mentioning the funny stories, is there any great story or the great memorable moment of your career that you would like to and you could share with us as an event manager to Gwent?
Yeah, so I think that's a thing that everyone is telling. If you ask the old players, from the season 1, the casters, well, the highlight of this all was the first big tournament, Challenger in Moshna Castle in 2017. It's for me, because for me, I'm just celebrating the 4th anniversary of working in CDPR. And when I joined 4 years ago, it was like we had one open, and then immediately we went to Moshna Castle. It's a wonderful palace in Poland. We had all those great talents, players, casters. We had Matthew Mercer, and it was just an one in a lifetime experience. So even if I got fired because I wasn't at this trial period for 3 months, then even if I got fired by the end of the year, then I would say it was worth it, right? So it was for an event manager, it was a dream come true. Later next year, we also moved to Wieliczka. So it was a salt mine. We went down underground. It was a great tournament, but nothing beats this. I think when we are talking about Gwent, of course.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to go back to Moshna Castle one day again and do something big once more.
Yeah, I remember. It's not only that you rented the space, I think because it's already expensive, as I imagine, but it's also having people like Matthew Mercer, and all these people we know from other games and their other work. That was ton load of money. And I remember.
Well, let's not talk about money, because money you cannot buy everything with money, because honestly, and for now, I think it is better. I think we've proven this. It's better to have hosts from our community, because of course Matthew is great, Marisha was great, and we had great hosts. But then during the Challenger the Skellige Challenger, we decided to have Flake and Ash Liesel, and it was great because they know the game, community knows them, and we could feel that they care about the game. That it's and Flake joined our team right at this point, and I don't think we are ever going to change this. We have so many talented people at our community that they can easily do the Matthew Mercer's work, really.
But where I was going with this is, it's not that, okay, it was expensive, you shouldn't have done that. Now, my idea was that for a game that's this fresh, you showed so much ambition. Like the first tournament series, you already thought so big. It's just amazing. How you think, you know what? Yeah, we just started. This whole Gwent thing is new. Let's run the castle. Some esports superstars. Let's do it. Why not?
Yeah, that's the CDPR way.
But I remember season 1 was great. Even the World Masters that were held online. I mean, it was just amazing. To see live coach and everyone once again. Great tournament.
Yeah, it was a great closure. Mm-hmm.
I think we can skip the next question that we have on our list about non-World Masters event, because you kind of already answered that. You said that right now it's very difficult to predict anything.
Yep.
So there is a question that Hesser going to ask, and it's a question we are very, very interested in.
That's right. So, well, since you happen to be the event manager, is there any chance we could record the Merchants of Novigrad episode at the famous Gwent Tavern studio?
Maybe. Guys, as soon as this whole COVID bullshit is over, let's have a talk with Burza, and who knows?
All right.
You know that we are clipping this and we are sending this Pavel. We have it on video.
No problem. He already knows about this question, so let's.
Yeah, I mean, not sure if it's going. We'll have to wait and see. But if that is a real possibility, it will be just crazy for us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
You are giving us hope, Repek.
That's what we do. Joy and hope.
Okay, guys. I think that's it for competitive. We actually did talk about some competitive gameplay as well, very little, but it was mostly about the organization stuff. But I would like to ask some personal questions, because this is our last segment, and once again we have to kind of rush it now.
Okay, I'll try to be brief.
Okay, so with that being said, and with the remembering that you are not part of the Gwent team, what does your regular workday look like, and how do you maneuver between the Witcher franchise, Gwent and whatnot, and Cyberpunk?
Well, so it's a typical 9 to 5 work, right? But sometimes you have to spend more time during some event for the company. Yeah, so we are Gwent team, events team is helping with everything. When it comes to promoting the games, and so when there was a promotion time for Cyberpunk, we've been going abroad to show the game abroad to the to people, to the community. When it comes to Gwent, that's why I was hired to do this. So that's what we are helping with. But there's also a lot of things going inside the company. So like this Friday, we were organizing the social Friday because people need to celebrate, need to come together, have some fun together, and that's always our job. If we have a guest, we are giving them a tour in the company, right? So that's what we do. We are organizing events outside and inside.
All
All right. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of job actually, because in every company there is like a lot of meetings, events, or a lot of guests coming up. So definitely a hard job. And as we mentioned before, even like maneuvering between like 10 people organizing the online tournament. Imagine how did that look like before, when we had like the community gatherings and like up to 100 of people in the studio or near the studio, right? I can only imagine that was a really hard job to do back then.
Yeah, but we love
it. All right, awesome. Let's jump to actually the design and your image of a streamer as well, and not only before that, it happened before. How come you developed an unconditional love for Shoop? What is the original story And how did you proclaim yourself as the ambassador, the ship ambassador?
Well, no one wanted him, so I took him, right? But I've been talking about Moscow Castle, right? Tournament back in 2017, and what happened during Moscow Castle 2017 tournament? It was the midwinter drop, right? I think it was then when the ship was first introduced to the world. As this, the card got a different name back then. But yeah, so I think I fell in love with this totally random card that everyone hated from the very very beginning. I don't know if you remember, but everyone hated Midwinter. But at the same time, yeah, there was this shop, and this card was crazy. So that, hey, it's great. And I think that's another thing is that when I'm working on some project and I'm getting attached to a game, I like to have something that I love in it. So.
Yeah.
Sure, for me, I think it was a perfect match for me. I get it. I like the design of this card and of this character, and yeah, he makes me laugh. That's what I want to do as well.
Perfect. Yeah, Ship is a lovable person for sure, creature. And I also love him, and I think that people love him as a card. And not only, you have like hundreds of people wanting that Shoop plushie that you can see over here in my room.
Yeah.
So definitely. All right, but that leads us to the next question as well. What's the story behind your relationship with Team Bandit Gang? We know that they love a lot of meme decks. They love Shoop for sure as well. Tell us more about this.
So I think that for a healthy community around any game, we need Team Aretusa, Team Leviathan, the hardcore teams that are competing and other teams, of course, that they have players right now at the opens, and guys like you who are doing great podcasts and doing something for community. It's great, but what I love about Team Bandit Gang is they are this fun factor. Right, with King Denpai, with his funny streams and other guys that are creating these meme snapshots. For me, it's perfect because for a casual player like me, of course, from time to time I like to play meta decks and try hard for a day or two to get to the pro rank. But if I don't make it, if I want to keep it fresh, I'm looking at the meme decks and playing them. So I love what the team is doing for the community and delivering this less pro content. Of course, there are pro players there, right? They're doing both things, but
Yeah.
I don't think anyone else is doing the thing they are doing.
Oh yeah, that's true, definitely.
Absolutely.
They are providing us with great decks to play, not only on a competitive level, but also to just have some fun. And it's like a great resource for the streamers too, because they do the best job for us, just giving us the decks that people love, right? To
Yeah,
watch.
collusion all the way. I
Yeah.
hate Syndicate. I'm not hating Syndicate. I'm not playing Syndicate because I'm bad at doing this, but collusion deck, and I win. Funny.
Absolutely, a very fun team, providing us with all those memes, and even every patch there's like a list. Bombling, for example, releases a list of like 18 or 20 decks that can potentially get you to pro. So it's not only memes; it's also homebrews that actually happen to work.
Mm-hmm.
So some great work from Team Bandit Gang out there. As I said multiple times, we are running short on time, so I think we are going to ask one more question, and it's going to be part of our ongoing investigation. Whenever we have one of the rats on this show, we ask about something that Pavel tweeted, I think it's going to be like a year and a half ago, maybe even longer. And that is the famous Buja coffee. So once upon a time there was a listing, right? You guys were looking for a new community manager or something of the sort. And Pavel said, "I make great coffee," and we made it the goal of our lives to validate that claim. So Repek, what can you tell us about the Pavel coffee?
So for me, every tournament that we are doing here in the studio starts with two things. One thing is I need to bring the portable toilet for the team. Toy, right? We need it. straight at the next to the studio because we don't have time to go to the main building during the tournament. So if I have this and I have a coffee from Burza, I consider the tournament is starting. And yes, he's making a great coffee.
Damn, maybe we'll have a chance to try. Well, I had a chance to try it out, but maybe Matt, you will have a chance.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we already asked about the studio, so now we have to ask Pavel about coffee too. Maybe that's the way.
I think he likes preparing coffee for everyone. He's always asking who wants it, and
maybe that's the way to approach this, right? We just ask, hey, Pavel, can we, come around and have a taste of your amazing coffee, and then praise the coffee, and then just throw that question, hey, can we record an episode at the studio? And he's gonna be like, yeah, absolutely. You love my coffee, so I'm gonna love to have you around.
Yeah, guys. Write it in the fine print below, right? We want your coffee, and we want to drink. Yeah, it may work.
It may work. You never know. Okay, with that being said, let's move to the last segment. We actually had to skip some questions, but we are gonna save them because you never know. Maybe one time, Repek, we're gonna invite you again. We had Pavel twice already, so be prepared because we can call any day.
Anytime.
The last segment is the shameless plug. So Repek, let's say some people, some of our viewers would like to get in touch with you, would like to learn more about what you're doing and what you're streaming and what are your personal views. When can they find you?
Well, me? On Twitter, MrRepek. So I have an account there, and I usually share my I retweet things that our community is posting, but sometimes right now, okay, I'm starting a career as a streamer, right? So I have to post about my streams. So yeah, you can catch me there, and my DMs are not closed.
Awesome.
Perfect. I'm dropping the links as we speak, so you guys can just click on the links, follow Repek, jump in his stream.
I'd love to stream on Tuesday if possible, when we have new cards, or on Wednesday. We'll see.
Yes, sir. What about you?
Well, as usual, you can guys find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Hesser Tavern, or on Twitter under pretty much the same link. I'm going to drop the links as well. And I'm going to remind you as well about the giveaway going on. You just need to follow us on Twitter here and just wait for the raffle. And maybe you have a chance to win the great bundles supporting the Gwent esports scene. They are pretty awesome. I just buy all of them right away. And hope to see you there.
Thanks. And as always, I'm not going to promote myself because you are already on my channel. But I would like to remind you guys, once again, to follow us on Twitter at Novigrad Podcast. Among other things, to have a chance to win one of the bundles. Also, as I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, this episode is going to be uploaded on YouTube, Spotify, and a number of other platforms either today or during the week. So keep an eye out. And if you have some spare time on your hands, I'll be actually staying on stream. So if you are willing to watch some Novigrad, just don't go anywhere. With that being said, Hesser, Repek, thank you guys for being here. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, chat. Great day. So, chat, if you were here only for the podcast, thanks for staying with us. Thanks for asking the questions. We'll see you guys later, and if not, then I'll see you guys in a few moments.